Hey, welcome to Rich Experiences, and welcome to my Panama City, Panama travel guide. Now, a little background behind Panama City, just in case you don't know. Panama City is the capital city of Panama, and it's located in Central America, conveniently connecting North and South America. So it's sitting right there in that cubbyhole. Now, it's only around a 3 to 5 hour flight from most U.S. cities, and its international airport is called the Tucumán International Airport. Now, the population in Panama City is around 400,000 people. Now, if you're counting the metro area, it's a little over 2 million. Now, one thing I want to address up front that a lot of people get wrong about this place, including me at first. See, Panama City sits right on the water. But the thing is, there are no beaches here. Not smack dab in the city of Panama. At least none that I found. So you look out and you see the ocean and all this water everywhere, but the city's coastline itself is mostly for the Panama Canal, the ports, and the waterfront views. So it's not for swimming or beach life or none of that. So if you want beaches, you have to go to nearby places like Better Cruise, which I visited for a short while, or you can take a boat to Tobago Island. But trust me, the city itself is diverse and has a lot to offer. Now, what is Panama City known for? Well, the big thing, obviously, is the Panama Canal. This is one of the most important engineering feats in human history, no doubt. But Panama City is also known for its banking sector. It has a strong reputation as a tax haven. Its ultra-modern skyline, its historic district called Casco Viejo, also known as Casco Antiguo, so it's a couple of different names for it, and also being extremely international. And you'll hear Spanish, English, and other dialects spoken as you walk around. But make no mistake, Spanish is the primary language. Now, the weather in Panama. Expected to be hot in Panama, hot and humid, okay? It's tropical weather year round. Now, basically it has 2 seasons in Panama City. There's a dry season and there's a hot season. And the dry season tends to run from December to April, and rainy season is from May to November with a quick tropical downpours. When I was there, I didn't experience a ton of rain, but it was very humid. Not so much hot, but humid. Now, let's talk about safety in Panama City. I will say that Panama City is one of the safer cities in Latin America. It's very tourist friendly, and you can frequent places like neighborhoods like El Cangrejo, Casco Viejo, and other places like Cinta Costera. These are very tourist-friendly neighborhoods and areas. So these areas right here are generally good for walking during the day and good for sightseeing, and most are safe at night with normal awareness and precautions. So be sure to keep your head on swivel anywhere you go. Now, little neighborhood breakdown. A lot of neighborhoods in Panama City. You have El Cangrejo. This is where I stayed a lot, and it's a really modern, walkable, tree-lined type neighborhood. It's filled with cafes, restaurants, bakeries, and residential buildings, casinos, hotels, and things like that. It's a very relaxed local and a great home base for tourists. Okay. Now there's also Casco Viejo. Now this is more of the historic center. This is the historic center known as the Old Quarter. You'll find more cobblestone streets, colonial architecture, and this is mainly where you'll find the city's historical monuments. Also, you'll find rooftop bars, a lot of nightlife there, boutique hotels, great restaurants, and museums. So it's a super scenic and very tourist-friendly area. Also, Casco Viejo is. Now let's talk about Cinta Costera. Now, Cinta Costera is one of the highlights of Panama City. It's a long waterfront path that's perfect for biking, jogging, or just enjoying the skyline. So you'll see a lot of people out there doing their thing, exercising, chilling, enjoying the day. So this stretch alone makes the city feel more modern than most of Latin America. Now, while I was based in El Cangrejo, the Costera was just a quick walk away. I would basically walk down there every day and chill out. So good for relaxing, and you can't go to Panama City and not go to Cinta Costera. Now it goes for miles and miles, it spans a long way through different neighborhoods. The Beltway has different sections, and it curves around Casco Viejo. You look out and see sky views, even gardens, bike paths, parks, you name it. So definitely a must visit. Now let's talk about transport in Panama. Getting around. There's a lot of ways you can get around in Panama. You can take rideshare, you can take a taxi, you can take the bus. That's very affordable. Also, I found out toward the end of my trip that they do have local trains too. I didn't know. I didn't really see a lot of trains moving. I saw buses every day, but trains, I didn't see those. I guess they're up in the air on the tracks and stuff like that. I just didn't really hear them and see it. It just totally went over my head. So, but they do have local trains there. I don't know how it works. If you know how it works, been to Panama, let me know in the comments. But yeah, they do have trains you can take. I didn't find out about that they had local trains like for the public until my last day there, when my rideshare, my Uber driver, he told me that, hey, you know, I could have taken the train there. The train goes straight to the airport from where I was from, and it would have got me there for like, 50 cents, he said, instead of the $15 that I was paying him for the Uber. So I found this out at the last minute, and it was good that he filled me in on that, because a lot of people don't fill foreigners in on that. And my Airbnb owner didn't even tell me about that. So he was surprised and a little bothered that my Airbnb owner didn't at least fill me in on that so I could know the options. So he was nice enough to let me know, hey, could have paid 50 cents, got to the airport in no time instead of paying me the $15. But hey, I was in the ride then. I wasn't about to get out and risk trying to catch a bus there inexperienced, but I appreciated him telling me that. And that's something that you should be aware of too. They have good public transportation, buses, trains, and everything. So you can save a lot of money. And a lot of them have direct routes to major destinations like malls and even the airport. So definitely check that out. But the main way that I got around when I was there, I used Uber. Now, I don't usually use Uber on my travels, especially to Latin America. I usually use the local apps. Like in Latin America, I usually use like maybe Cabify or Didi or something like that as my main go-to. The reason I don't use Uber as much is that it's not as affordable as some of the local apps. Also, some of the local apps, I just like the service better and the deals better. And also I had some problems with Uber in the past where they canceled my account unfairly and this all type of stuff. Also, Uber, a lot of places, Uber is considered banned or illegal in some countries, so it's not really highly present in some countries. And also another thing about Uber, why I really don't use it on my travels in Latin America, is that a lot of people don't know, especially like if you visit in places like Colombia somewhere, a lot of people don't know is that when you rent an Uber, you're not just renting a car, you're not just getting a ride share. There's more red tape that comes with it. You're also renting that car technically and legally, and you're renting that driver technically and legally. So you're renting a car and you're renting a driver. You're not just getting a ride share. So that's the difference. So that means if anything goes wrong, you are held fully or at least partially responsible for any accidents or any mishaps like that. So it's more legalities and red tape that come along with that. And a lot of tourists miss that notice because oftentimes it comes up maybe in Spanish, or a lot of people don't read all the terms and services and just press go. So, yeah. But to my knowledge, Uber is widely accepted in Panama, and that's what I used. And that's the main go-to for rideshare apps. All the other apps that I usually use, like Didi and stuff like that, they were still active, but well, at least Didi was. But it wasn't, I noticed it wasn't as reliable. Wasn't as many drivers responding, things like that. So yeah, they do have a lot of taxis, especially in the tourist area. But on my travels, if you've been following my channel, The Rich Experiences, I don't recommend flagging random taxis, taking random taxis. I don't like them. They're not as safe. You can't track them. Can't track the driver. At least with a ride share, you have a way whereby you can track the driver, their name, who they are, their reputation, and it's trackable. But just getting random taxis off the street, hailing them, just not my style. And I don't recommend it for you either. But the Uber experience was pretty reliable to me overall. And that's that. So make sure you have the Uber app downloaded. One problem I did run into Uber was that they will take you, Uber and a lot of the rideshare apps there. I found out that depending on what part of the city you're living in, or whatever. Like I got one time I experimented with getting an Airbnb out in Veracruz, which is I guess a beach town outside, on the outskirts of Panama. And they dropped me off there, no problem. But once I was there and I was trying to call a ride share, the Uber to get me to take me somewhere else, I found out that they don't pick up there. So they dropped me off there, but then they I guess they wipe their hands and you find out later, oh, they don't pick up there. So I ran into those problems. Unfortunately, I'm an experienced traveler and I was able to walk around a little bit, and I was able to then have another rideshare app like Didi kick in, so I'll be able to pick it up from the other outskirt spot to take me back into the city. So I was able to make it work, but that's because I'm an experienced traveler. I know how to move and stuff like that, so I was able to get by. But for somebody who's not experienced and don't know, just realize that you can be dropped off in a certain area with your Uber or other rideshare, but maybe they don't pick up in that area and they don't tell you that. So that's something you need to be aware of. So that was a surprise to me. Now, also, as far as other methods of transportation, they do have buses, as I mentioned. Now, I found out that their buses, one of the locals told me, and I confirmed that the bus is only like 25 cents a day, and you can get around to a lot of the major spots, the tourist spots, the malls, and things like that. Now, I didn't get to ride any of the local buses. I just stuck with the ride shares and things, but I was tempted to ride it, but I didn't get to ride any of the buses. But I saw them passing frequently. They look very reliable. A lot of the locals use it. And if you have a chance to ride the public buses, hey, let me know how it went. Now the money. Hey, the money is real easy there because Panama uses the US dollar. So no problem using that USD anywhere you go in Panama City. Okay. Now also they have these coins called Balboas. I don't have a lot of experience with the coins, but there are coins called Balboas. I think they're just for like dollar coins. So you may receive change in a mixture, odd mixture of US dollars and then some Balboa coins. Don't mistake those for like quarters and stuff like I did at first. These are actually dollars. So when I tip one of my drivers, they got a bigger tip than expected because I thought I was just getting rid of some change and those were dollars that I was getting rid of. But I learned fast. In addition, in Panama City, you can use a credit and debit card, okay? So there's ATMs everywhere except credit card and restaurants and establishment stores. This is really what I used. I really didn't fumble around with the money too much. On my travels, I mainly stick to credit card. And so I didn't have any problem using it. What they mainly accept though, they accept all credit cards, but just as a general rule, a lot of places I've gone in Latin America, they do have problems. Most of them accept the Visa and MasterCard. Those are the safe ones. But when you get into things like Discover and American Express, it's usually hit and miss on those from my experience. So American Express, traveling into Latin America, my advice, leave home without it. Sorry, American Express. Now, as far as tipping, a lot of places, they will, like restaurants and everything, they will include tips on the bill and everything. And it's usually around a 10% tip. So if you want to give a tip, you don't have to go crazy or anything, leaving some grand amount. 10% is usually standard. Also, don't feel compelled to leave a tip just for the sake of it. Only leave a tip if you want to give props for good service. As tourists, we don't want to train them or anywhere else we go to not earn those tips. Remember, that's something extra. A tip should not be something required. Okay? Now let's talk about the language. Do you need to know Spanish when you go to Panama? Well, I'd say yes and no. Okay. Now, in Panama, a lot of people speak English, at least some basic English, especially in the tourist area. So you will be able to get by, in my opinion, without Spanish if you stay in that tourist bubble. But the moment you want to venture out or spread your wings even more, things are going to start to get limited. So I would recommend that if you're going to Latin America, I don't care if they know English or not. It's just best to know at least some basic Spanish, at least some basic travel Spanish. Otherwise, you just won't have as much of a rich experience as you could have, as much of a cultural experience that you could have. So again, everybody is not going to know English or not going to know it well enough. Okay, so it's always best to know some basic Spanish. Wi-Fi was not as good as I thought. It's kind of hit and miss. It's slow in some times and spotty sometimes. So really the Wi-Fi was kind of disappointing. It's not what I thought. So depending on where you go, your Wi-Fi may be good, but then again, you may experience some outages or just slow in general. But usually the Wi-Fi, you can get some spots where the Wi-Fi is pretty good. It wasn't that way all the time, but it wasn't overall. Compared to my travels across Latin America, I thought it would be better in some other places I've gone. But it really it really wasn't as good as I thought. Now, overall, you will find Wi-Fi in Airbnbs, hotels, cafes in El Cangrejo and Casco Viejo. And speeds are usually pretty good in modern buildings, but just be aware, especially in some residential areas and in some areas in general, and it depends on the rain you may get, the weather, it could be a little disappointing. So that's that. Let me know if you've gone to Panama City, how was your experience with the Wi-Fi? Let me know. Was it good? Was it bad? Average? Let me know your experience. Drop a comment. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe, because trust me, you don't want to miss a thing, because this is the channel, Rich Experiences, where we bring you trusted travel and lifestyle information. So be sure to subscribe. Now, there's a lot of things to do in Panama City, a lot of attractions. Definitely take that city bus tour to give you a good overall view of the city. You can see a lot of things. You see the Panama Canal, you can take you around the Casco Viejo, Cinta Costera, the Amador Causeway, the Bio Museum, the Natural Metropolitan Park, the fish market, and also there's a lot of tour companies offering day trips. You can go to Veracruz Beach, Tobago Island, and a lot of other places. Now, let's talk about the food in Panama. Hey, Panama City, it has a good mix. Not gonna lie about that. It has the local Panamanian dishes. Then you have some Colombian dishes there. You have Asian dishes. There's a large Chinese population. Seafood, ceviche, Afro-Caribbean influences. A lot of international restaurants, so your familiar restaurants, especially fast food restaurants like McDonald's, Burger King, things like that, Subway, Wendy's. So you'll find all of that. The price ranges for a good meal, let's say for local restaurants, expect to pay around $4 to $7. Now, if you're going for more US based or US owned or US style restaurants, expect to pay much more. Okay, so it's your choice. You have a lot of choices there. So it can stay on the cheaper side, but it can get very expensive, comparable to the US too. So make no mistake about that. Panama City is not the cheap escape destination like it used to be. Prices have gone up a lot. Let's talk about malls and shopping. Got to talk about shopping somewhere, okay? Now, Panama City has some of the biggest malls in Latin America, in Central America, Latin America, okay? Albrook Mall, which I did a walkthrough of, you can check it out on the channel. It's a great big mall. It's the largest mall in Panama, Central America, and Latin America. So you gotta watch that video after this. Also, there's other malls, of course, like Multi Plaza, which is more of a high-end stores and luxury shopping. And they have other malls as well. So definitely something to explore for your shopping excursions. Now, accommodations, there are no shortage of accommodations. You'll find anywhere from high-end to high-end hotels, mid-range hotels. You'll find Airbnbs, plenty of Airbnbs, especially in El Cangrejo and Casco Viejo. But don't expect a lot of budget Airbnbs. Panama City is taking full advantage of tourism. So everything is priced for the tourist, meaning a higher price tag. So usually on my trips to Latin America, I can usually find some good budget Airbnbs, not dumps either, for around like $25 or less a night. Okay, include my own apartment, electricity and smart TV and sometimes even a full gym and everything. But in Panama, it was just hard for me to get those deals. I was still scraping by, but they were different. So in Panama, if you want to avoid a lot of problems, probably expect to pay for those added conveniences. So expect to pay upwards of $80 or so a night, around that, on average. And if you're going for hotels and things like that, of course, expect to pay more. And let me know if you've been to Panama City, how did you stay? Where did you stay? Did you stay at a hotel, Airbnb, some other options? Because I'm gonna tell you, I had to struggle finding some budget options there. Just like I said, I've traveled a lot around different countries and different cities in Latin America. In Panama, it was pretty disappointing and scarce trying to find some good budget Airbnbs that I'm used to landing. So let me know your experience in the comments. Now let's talk about nightlife. All right, can't leave that out, right? Right. Now, nightlife in Panama City is legit. You've got casinos, you got rooftop bars, you got clubs, nightclubs, you got live music, salsa dancing, you got all that. So, no shortage of nightlife for your nightly entertainment appetite. So, hey, gotta say that Panama City is one of the easiest capital cities for Americans to visit. You know, it's modern, it's safe, it's international, and it's full of things to do, from taking a relaxing walk down the historic streets to gazing into the beautiful, mesmerizing skylines. So if you want a Latin American city that blends convenience with culture, then Panama City should definitely be a destination on your list.